so may you change camp. May you change camp. He changed camp from the letters to the Lord. And the first functionary that the Lord sent to him to give him proper orientation as to his scope of operation within the kingdom that he has found himself was Ananias. These are the words of Ananias. And I want you to know that these words did not originate from Ananias. These words originated from Jesus Christ. He was just a spokesman that was called to herald the counsel that he found on the Mount of Jesus. And he was able to pick up this counsel because he had intimacy with Jesus. This is what he said: the God of our fathers has chosen thee. First reason, that thou shouldest know his will. Second reason, and see the just one. It's not enough for you to enter into the economy of his present revelation position in the spirit. He also wants to reveal himself to you. That's what makes a man a prophet. A man is not a prophet because he knows the will of God. Because before God sends you with his counsel, God would have revealed himself to you. So when you hear someone maybe operating in the capacity of the prophet by title, and he doesn't have the capacity to reveal God, he doesn't know ministry. He's an impostor. You see, I'm not a pastor. I tell you the way it is so that you will know, you will understand. What makes, you are not with me. Let me repeat myself. What makes a man a prophet is not that he can scan you and no. That's not. An evangelist can do that. A teacher can do that. So what exactly is prophetic ministry? Prophetic ministry is the kind of thing that Ananias is doing. Can you see what I'm talking about? Ananias is speaking from the mouth of Jesus. Ananias knows Jesus. A prophet is a friend of Jesus. Now, if I come here today and I want to tell you about my wife, I've been in marriage by God's grace for 15 years. All right? If I want to tell you about my wife, I will not be telling you what her mother will tell you. Her mother has her own story to tell, which may be very different from my own story. But I'm speaking from the point of my interference, my friendship with that woman. She's been with me in the storm. In fact, you don't understand. She's the first daughter of a professor and was the only daughter for 15 years before her brother came along. So they are used to secluded life. My dad was the first rich man from my village. Are you there? So what he did was that he goes around, he picks one person from this family to train, picks another person from that family to train. So at some point in my family, we were like 22 people are members of my household. Not because my dad was a polygamist. Are you following me? But he had this heart of serving his people. Okay? So my wife is very closed, very reserved, and I'm a man of the people. And I'm not so by constitution. I'm so by exposure. Are you following? I remember some place that they gave us from London when we married. So she kept it somewhere. The plate has name. It has a name. Wedges. I think you call it wedges also. And then there was this lady in the house that time. We later discovered it was a demon. She was possessed. But the demon moves her in the night to where those plates are. And then in the middle of the night, you hear... That was how those plates broke one by one until the entire inventory was consumed. It was later we detected that an evil spirit was behind it. May the Lord give you understanding. So you can imagine these two different kind of people, one very close, and in fact, when I married her, I'm like my dad, so I brought people too. Married her into that confusion. So I can tell you, may the Lord give you understanding. I can tell you stories about how we grew. Today I have afflicted her with my ways that she can no longer live that secret life. She now likes people. It's a long story. See, the stories that I'm telling you now, the mother cannot tell you because they lived in a paneled house and she was upstairs. This one I'm telling you is a side of her that her mother never experienced. A prophet is a friend of Jesus. That is so in his business is intimacy with Jesus. But his ministry comes out of his intimacy with Jesus. So if a prophet begins to talk about his relationship with God and teach you about God, you will know God. When you see someone that doesn't have the dialect of God, running around with a gift, masquerading as a prophet, then we have a problem. This man's ministry was coming from the fountain of his intimacy with Jesus Christ. He said, the God of our fathers has chosen thee. You are a product of the grace of divine election. Whereas they need to elect people into the parliament, you were chosen from the throne above. And no man cannot make this ordination. You don't look like it. People might even call you a murderer. But the God of our fathers, what has he done? He has chosen. Did you campaign? The other day somebody told me, okay, maybe I was the one that told somebody. I said, if it was an election, I would not win to qualify for the grace that God gave me. and so also you will not win. But he chose you. So that was the first insight that this man brings. And from when the Old Testament closed, this is the first man that ever spoke about receiving a message from the God of their fathers. This is the first one. Okay? He said, he has chosen you that you should know his will. He has chosen you that you should see the just one. He has chosen you that you should hear words from his mouth. So this is the intention of God. I've chosen you. So I'm telling you now that he chose you so that you can know his will. He chose you so that he will no longer be a stranger to you, but you'll be able to see him and build intimacy with him. He chose you so that you can hear words from his mouth. That's the package that God has for every New Testament believer. But I need to show you how to actualize this possibility, which is God's utmost desire for your life. So we're going to read it together again. And he said, 1, 2, go. And he said, the God of our fathers has chosen thee, that thou shouldest know his will, and see the righteous one, and hear words from his mouth. Okay. So now this is the objective. This is why we are studying. We want to find out what is the technology that is in the Bible that affords us the opportunity to come into this reality that God is desiring for each and every one of us. And you will know that before this time, Apostle Paul was in Judaism. Before this time, even though in Judaism was a product of an act of God. There was a certain revelation of God that gave birth to that, and God was moving into other things at this time. Are you with me? You're not with me. That was why this man used the God of our fathers. He said, what we are doing here is not different from, it's the same God that gave us. So this shook him, seriously. That, you heard from the God of, yes. Say, he has chosen you. He wants you to know his will. He wants you to see the righteous one. He wants you to hear words from his mouth. Okay. All right, let's do something quickly. And what I want us to do is in the book of Genesis. We will take Abraham's life as a prototype. And we'll see how God led that man. You know, Abraham was an unbeliever. He was in the land of Ur of the Chaldees. And God called him from his kindred, from his country, and from his father's house. Is that true? All right, so come with me quickly. In the book of Genesis, chapter 12, in Genesis chapter 12, most of us know the call of Abraham, so I will start my reading from the obedience that Abraham brought to the table, corresponding to the call that he had received, which is Genesis chapter 12, verse 4. And it will also interest you to know that the first man in the entire Bible that God himself called a prophet was Abraham. And it was also interesting to know that Abraham never prophesied. Did you see? Oh, you are not. You see, your idea of who a prophet is wrong. But I don't have time to tackle that now. That was the man that God called. He told Pharaoh, he says, go to that Abraham, let him pray for you because he is a prophet and he will pray for you. He did not say he's a prophet and he will prophesy to you. What did he say he will do? He will pray. I will explain why God said that. Are you there? If I give you the microphone now and I say, come tell us for 2 hours about God, just tell us about God. If you can't do that, you are not a prophet. Means you don't know God. And if you don't, meanwhile, you can have a gift. You can have a gift and you might tell him something that is accurate. But you don't know God. So you are running that thing from the standpoint of a gift and not from the fountain of intimacy. Those are two different things. Don't confuse the gift. Anybody can have the gift. But what anybody cannot have is intimacy with God. The man with the gift can be committing immorality. The reason is because he doesn't know the giver of the gift. The man that has intimacy with him will drink of his nature. You will see a stability in his conviction and his character. If you go to the New Testament, you will see that word elder. And then you see some qualifications for eldership. Have you seen it? Then you will notice one of the qualifications is that an elder must be flawless in character. He must be blameless. I say, which kind of high? No, that is the result of intimacy. Because the moment you become sensitive to God, you will know when God is angry. And if you want to keep that relationship with him, you will have to appease him. You will go through a lot to secure that relationship back. You will know how God disciplines people that want to stay in alignment with him. Your character will change. You can't even stay in that anger. You stayed in anger for 12 years. How did you succeed? So Abraham departed as the Lord has spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. So he's learning how to obey. The God he's obeying at this time, he doesn't know him. Doesn't know him. It's just that in Abraham's case, God dealt with him. Because there are only two ways to enter into the crucible of spiritual knowledge. Is either God deals with you or you deal with God. Well, I want to show you how to deal with God, how to transact with God. And that's where the concept of altars come in. So at this time, God was dealing with him. Okay? So he was responding to God that was dealing with him, even though he doesn't know God. Next verse. And Abraham took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. It was as though God was saying that your destiny cannot be supported in the location where you are. You will need to migrate. You need to migrate to a certain place that I will show you. It is that location that has the capacity to support your destiny. So he has arrived there. But this is a summary of how Abraham navigated. I hope you know his navigation was based on the leading of God. You will go to a land that I will show you. So this is the graph of his navigation. All right? So Abraham passed through the land of Shechem.